Hey everyone, Mystical Mark here. So this will be your weekly astrology forecast for the week of September 29th to October 5th of 2024. Now before we get into the charts this week, if you would like a reading with me, you can go to my Etsy shop at mysticalmarkastro.etsy.com. If you do like the videos that I do here and would like to support me through donation or otherwise, you can head over to my Ko-Fi at ko-fi.com/mysticalmark. Of course, you are not obligated to donate or anything at all. However, anything like that is always appreciated, as I don't really get paid to do these videos on YouTube or TikTok at all. I'm not that big. I think that's it. Oh, and of course, if you want to help me for free, just simply liking, commenting, subscribing. If you're on TikTok, just hit that follow button. That helps me out immensely, as it helps the algorithm to kind of do its thing and get this video out where it needs to go. Of course, all the links that I mentioned are in the description box if you are on YouTube, or they are in my bio if you are on TikTok. All right, so let's get into the astrology for this week here. Okay, so we're going to start off on Sunday, the 29th. We have few things happening today. So we're going to have earlier in the morning, we're going to have the sun here in conjunction to the south node in Libra, of course opposing the north node in Aries, as well as later in the day we are then going to have Mercury conjunct the south node and then opposition the north node, and then we're going to have, of course, Saturn. Well, yeah, Mars trine Saturn here as well. So with this nodal conjunction here, we're obviously heading into an eclipse on, I think it's October 2nd, I believe that's Wednesday. And that eclipse is going to be happening here in Libra. So what I feel, the word that comes through that describes the Libra energy that really wants to come through this eclipse is justice. That's what keeps kind of like coming into my head regarding this, is justice. Right, so Libra is about relationships, balance, the aesthetic, beauty. It's a very Venus-y energy, even though it is technically what you would call like a masculine sign. However, the aspect, like I said, that is coming through is this idea of justice, which of course relates to like balance, even in a way sense like karmic balance, but it's more like balance. Libra is the scales, or the balancing scales, right? So that's kind of the main energy that I get coming through here. Now, Sun conjunct South Node here in Libra. South Node Libra, I've mentioned this before, this is like dealing with a constant Venus retrograde. Okay, Venus rules Libra. Venus is, of course, now in Scorpio, and still ruling the South Node, so we're dealing a lot with these transformational aspects. South Node Libra, meaning letting go of certain things. So there's a letting go of something that needs to maybe like be transformed, come to the surface, come to an end, so we can move forward. These are very cardinal signs. So Libra, Aries, North Node in Aries, which means moving forward in a new direction. Of course, with Venus in Scorpio, it means transforming, facing what you need to face, letting go what you need to let go of so that you can move forward in a new direction. And of course, that could likely mean bringing balance and justice back into this space. This could, of course, revolve around relationships in some way too, as well as balancing that. I have mentioned that a lot of the South Node Libra stuff can deal with aspects of codependency within relationships, releasing, being a doormat, that doormat type energy. Right? Especially with North Node and Aries, we need to learn the value of our own self. We need to move forward for what's right for us as an individual on an individual level, and not so much focused on pleasing the other, right? Ourselves are important too, and allowing other people in our lives and in our relationships to focus on themselves as well, and allowing that balance there. Not to be codependent, but allowing that balance and justice within a relationship as it is actually balanced in those people actually being able to be their individual selves and not constantly compromising and sacrificing all the time. However, yes, I do feel that aspect of justice. Of course, with Mercury coming into to conjunct the South Node, there could be communication coming out surrounding this. Of course, I'm being guided once again, because this is happening on a Sunday, that we may not hear things. If there's something that's happening politically, economically, or whatever in the world that relates to this, we're likely not going to hear about it until Monday or Monday morning, right? Because that's just how our bullshit calendar works. For, like, that's just what it is. It's a bullshit calendar. But because it doesn't really follow any natural cycles of anything. But anyway, that's a whole different topic to talk about. So there could be like that aspect of communication, and even something that needs to be let go of in terms of communication, or thoughts, or something that needs to be released in order to strike this balance, or in order for us to focus individually on ourselves. Maybe not so much listening to certain people and to really just, focus on our own shit and our own self and get that taken care of as we move forward, to find justice and balance in that way, in a sense as well too. But there is an aspect of communication and that mind stuff that is coming through here, and there is likely a release, like I said, with these Libran energies letting go, because we want to move forward, especially with this. The sun is going to oppose the North Node as well as conjunct it at the same time. This opposition seeking balance regarding this aspect of self, moving forward in new directions, etc. Of course, Mars, the ruler of the North Node here, is in Cancer and is in trine to Saturn. Saturn retrograde, like I said. So Saturn is retrograde. Like I said, Saturn retrograde in Pisces is a mutable sign. I've mentioned that this is like the dissolution of that malefic energy. Right? So, and with Mars here in Cancer, it's wanting to take action towards things that we are feeling emotionally, things that are going to make us feel comfortable, feel safe. This is a very feminine energy. Pisces is a feminine energy. We're dealing with this South Node, Libra, all the planets there in a Venus-ruled sign. Venus, being a feminine energy, even though technically Libra is, like I said, a masculine sign. But Venus is in Scorpio, which is a feminine sign, relating to this aspect of transformation and looking at these things that need to be looked at and transformed. And like I said, with the dissolution of that malefic energy with Saturn here in Pisces, especially with Pisces energy, you can deal with compassionate stuff, really emotional, deep emotional stuff. And even with Cancer too. However, this is a trine. But we are dealing with two planets that are known as malefics. However, I feel like with this Libran energy, it's like maybe that vibe of justice that is coming through here, through this malefic energy and the dissolution of that, because Saturn is retrograde. So we're dealing with stuff that either has already happened or that we need to go over again in some way in order to kind of dissolve this stuff. Remember, Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn and Pluto is retrograde black here in Capricorn. Of course, Pluto, the modern ruler of Scorpio, Venus is now in Scorpio. Again, there's a transformation of a lot of stuff here regarding aspects of control, structures, things like that. And of course, that's surrounding aspects of justice, relationships, all of that. All of this is really just tied together. And with Mars here in a cardinal sign of Cancer, we're wanting to take action, move forward in a new direction that's going to make us feel more comfortable. We don't want to be controlled. We don't want to be held and restricted. We don't want the negative part of that Capricornian energy. Control isn't necessarily bad. It's when other people control you or you try to control other people that it becomes bad. Having control over, let's say, your words, having control over your movement, those are like positive forms of control. Having control over, like your own life, things like that. There's positive forms of control. But when it's used to abuse and take advantage of other people, that's when it becomes negative. So that's with this Saturn retrograde in Pisces. Of course, Pisces being, like I said, that compassionate, very emotional kind of sign. It's like the dissolution of that. Saturn also teaches through restriction as well. So it's restriction of that kind of thing and the realization that maybe that really needs to actually change. That we need to be more compassionate. We need to see through that kind of stuff. Of course, with Mars in Cancer, dealing with that Cancer ruling, our emotions, dealing with that kind of stuff and wanting to take action to make us feel more comfortable emotionally, or taking action based upon our emotions in that sense as well. Of course, I'm just seeing here Mars in square to a black moon Lilith in Libra. So I feel like with this stuff, it's almost like there's a very strong feminine energy that is coming through here to almost like dissolve and change. The feminine energy is something that is very flowing, very malleable, changeable. It goes with the flow. It understands intuition. It understands appropriate, guidance, saying, I need to go here, here, here. It's that watery, even earthy type energy, that giving birth, that it's very much like that, but this is very strong, especially since we have Venus in Scorpio ruling over all that Libra and stuff that is going on there. All right, so that's the energy for Sunday. Let's move on to Monday here, the 30th. For those of you that don't know, I'm just going over the list of transits on my phone and then reviewing them on the chart here for you. Okay, so on Monday here, we're going to have this Sun-Mercury Cazimi moment. I'm being drawn to a couple things here. It's happening at 8 degrees, which is a Scorpio degree, number one. So think for that what you will. Something could be transformed. Something may be coming out that was buried deep. Also surrounding maybe those aspects of justice that I mentioned before, and also regarding what I said about maybe something being said on Monday instead of Sunday regarding those conjunctions to the South Node, opposition to the North Node. A burp there, something's coming through. Pay attention to that. That's likely some kind of guidance. So there could be a strong emphasis on communication on Monday. Of course, this could deal something with sex and sexuality too, as Scorpio rules that. Venus is there. This is happening at 8 degrees. Something surrounding that. Black Moon Lilith, where we felt outcast. Maybe like put upon. Outcast in terms of, I almost want to say justice, because like I said, this is surrounding aspects of justice. Outcast surrounding justice. Outcast surrounding relationships where things have been like out of balance, basically. I don't know. That's just what was kind of coming through there. So they're likely that focus on communication surrounding those things, especially on the South Node. There's something that needs to come out to really just be let go of and to be transformed in some way. And like I said, there's this feminine energy that is very strongly helping with that. And of course, in our society, being so leaning towards like the patriarchy or the masculine in a very negative way. Masculine doesn't have to be negative. All of this has both positive and negative energies to it. In fact, everything does, right? So what we have to see with this is, I guess what I'm trying to say is, we're focusing more, our society focuses more a lot on the negative facets of masculine energy to try to force and push through things. And there's this positive feminine energy that's trying to balance that back. It's trying to pull the pendulum back in the other direction to try to seek it more into more of a balanced state. And I'm feeling kind of drawn to the nodal axis here. I'm kind of focusing on that. There's Venus here, and then this Aries Mars energy here, bringing things back into balance, right? And of course, focusing on our individual selves. This can be very like put upon energy in Libra, feeling like a doormat, feeling pushed like you need to compromise or do something in order to please somebody else in some way. Or, this could even be threatening stuff, like something's going to happen to you if you don't do this, right? I just being drawn to this triseptile here from the sun, basically, to this Saturn, this malefic energy that's being dissolved in Pisces, this lack of compassion. And with this triseptile, it's almost like there's something coming through, or there was something happening behind the scenes, or this is fated coming through, that something's being communicated here, or something was been happening that unknown to whatever that from the past that has happened that is now being dissolved and maybe even let out in some way. Look, I'm just the messenger here. I don't this is just what I'm getting and coming through. How this energy affects you, of course, is going to be depending on where this is happening in your own chart. Of course, what I'm doing right now is mundane astrology, which is socio-political, economical, dealing with things on a global, more grand scale. Of course, if you want to know how this is more going to affect you individually, a personal reading is always best, right? I'm just going to leave it at that. I was going to say something else about people tend to really generalize a lot on social media, being, oh, Libra, this is the card for you. Yeah, they're getting the message from the universe for what their question is, but it's such a broad answer that it could almost apply to anyone. I'm not negating the people that necessarily do that, because a lot of people, card readers don't know astrology or vice versa, and maybe they're just doing it because people want that, and they're still getting an answer. It's just, it's really not specific to, they're unbeknownst to the fact that it's really not really specific to that sun sign, because, and really your sun sign is only one aspect of your chart. I've seen charts where the sun sign is actually really not what they think it is, or not the most prominent part in a chart. Or it's not, they have other energies reflective of their sun that is not really necessarily the sign that it's in. I'm not going to get into that here, but yeah, there's a lot more to your individual chart than that. So yeah, if you do want a personal reading with me, link is in the description. If you're on TikTok, it's in my bio. Okay, just plugging myself there, but that's something that I also want to mention too. And I'm not trying to, say anybody's necessarily doing anything wrong. Like I said, it's there's some people that maybe just don't know that's kind of a thing because they don't know astrology, but people are asking like for card readings on their sign, and they're just like, okay, they're just doing it because people are asking for it, right? So I'm not knocking anyone. I'm just saying that, there's maybe some knowledge there that people really don't know or understand. But anyway, let's Sun, Mercury, Cazimi in Libra. Like I said, there's an aspect of justice and something possibly coming out on this day. But needless to say, there could be a heightened sense of communication, or at least awareness, a mental awareness in your mind. So if I burp there, and for those of you that don't know, when that usually happens, something like that comes up, it usually means something regarding that coming through. So yeah, heightened sense of a communication, something coming into your awareness in your own mind or something on that day. Okay, let's move on to Tuesday the 1st. So this is the day before the eclipse. All right, so we're going to have Mercury here now moving into conjunction with Black Moon Lilith. That will basically happen into the evening. We'll also have Venus in semi-sextile to Black Moon Lilith. So I think this is kind of like playing on really what I've already said. When you have a semi-sextile, it can go one of two ways. It can basically be the signs are not really, because signs that are next to each other aren't necessarily known to work together in a positive way if you want to get into like basic astrology understanding. Or the semi-sextile could also be the two signs are actually working together, and that the unique energies of each signs are somehow flowing to work through this in some way. That's kind of what I feel like I'm getting through, that's coming through with this semi-sextile specifically, is Venus is in Scorpio. We have Black Moon Lilith here in Libra. Venus rules Libra. Black Moon Lilith, Black Moon Lilith doesn't really have a ruler doesn't rule a sign as far as I know. But it feels like that's a bit more feminine Scorpio energy. So I feel like, because she's more of like that, a very masculine feminine, like a very powerful feminine sign, or energy. Not really sign, but energy. And that, to me, that's like Scorpio. The traditional ruler of Scorpio is in fact Mars, which rules Aries, and is that masculine, despite the fact that Scorpio is in fact a feminine sign, right? So this is and when I say masculine, feminine, I'm dealing with these energies, and of course what I'm mentioning here is the combination of those energies, whatever that combination is, right? Like, yes, you can have different sexual orientations. Yes, you can have different gender identities. Yes, all that stuff exists because anything is possible. Pisces rules spirituality. Pisces also the imagination. There's no boundaries. There's no boundaries at all to Pisces. Anything is possible, right? So when you're coming from source, when you're coming from that place of which we are all fractals of, anything is possible. Okay, I'm just want to bring that into perspective here. But what I'm trying to say here with this is that I feel like these two energies are in fact like working together here in some way, especially with that Scorpio energy wanting to see or reveal or transform in some way. This could be through aspects of communication, and communication regarding where we have really been left out, where we've been literally shit on in terms of other people, relationships, and in terms of aspects of maybe even a lack of justice, and bringing some kind of balance to that through transformation. But it's also like that realization of what nobody's actually really looking at. Scorpio is the shit that nobody actually wants to look at, but you need to look at it because in order to heal, you need to release in order to transform. That's why people don't like Scorpio. Scorpio's not, well, I mean, I'm not going to say, I was going to say Scorpio's not toxic, but I'm sure there can be a toxic Scorpio. But what I mean is in general, that energy, when people don't like Scorpio, they don't like what Scorpio brings up, especially within them. Why? Because they don't want to face that. But there's a necessity to face that in order to transform and change for the better. Right? Scorpio will literally go through hell to reach heaven. Okay? To put it, didn't really want to say that because it's like religious. I don't even want to go there. But understand the context there in terms of what I'm actually saying. You have to face the crap in order to release it to reach that higher level of vibration, if we want to put it in that sense. So again, this is kind of bringing like an awareness through Mercury here into this more balanced and justice way, especially in terms of where we've literally been outcast. And that could be within our relationships, lack of justice, all of those things, and bringing balance to that, bringing communicating a lot of this stuff and bringing it forth. I feel like Venus is helping really with this transformation and the communication that is ultimately trying to come through here on this day. All right, let's move to the next day here. So this is the 2nd. This will be, let's pull it off Venus. So this is when we're going to have this new moon in Libra. This is a new moon solar eclipse. So again, remember, eclipse energies can feel more intense when it's surrounding this. And of course, this is happening around the nodal axis. So we can see this happening at 10 degrees, this new moon. The nodal axis is at about 6 degrees. So we're within a 4-degree orb of conjunction here to the south node and opposition to the north node. Okay. And I feel like I was going to say, what's kind of coming through is this is going to be likely more intense because Venus is in Scorpio and Venus rules Libra, and a lot of this energy is happening in Libra. So there's likely to be more intensity to maybe this eclipse in particular versus last week's full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces. Or not last week's, the last one. Last week was the last quarter moon, the previous one. I didn't do a video last week, so sorry about that, but stuff. But yeah, so this, so I'm feeling like this eclipse is likely going to be just more intense than the last one. And eclipses are intense in general, and this one is likely to feel a lot more intense in general. Okay, this is also going to be basically conjunct Black Moon Lilith as well. So what I've talked about previously regarding that is coming up here. There's also Mercury still conjunct this place. Although Mercury is off the cazimi to the sun, however, I'm feeling likely that the communication is still going to be highlighted, despite the fact that people might consider this combust. So as in Mercury might be diminished. There might be people trying to diminish communication that is wanting to come out or that maybe came out during that cazimi moment. However, I feel like it's being highlighted here still, especially with this eclipse energy. One thing too is that Mercury is in sesqui-square to Uranus here in Taurus. So sesqui-square or sesquiquadrate is like a super square, something that can no longer be swept under the rug. Of course, with Uranus here in Taurus, this is surrounding aspects of change. I've said Uranus in Taurus is learning to see the value in change. Taurus can be extremely stubborn. This is almost like an awakening cattle prod, that it's like you can't sweep this under the rug anymore. Something has come into your awareness and it needs to change. Uranus is retrograde. This is something that does need to change already, previously, something that we've already known, something about the past. And this awareness is almost being like, yeah, you need to learn to see the value in this change because it needs to fucking happen. There's no more fucking around. There's no more fucking around with this energy. Right? We got Venus here in Scorpio. We got Pluto at its last point here in Capricorn to dissolve this or to transform these old aspects of control. Saturn retrograde. Like I said, all of this is playing through. Like I said at the beginning of this video surrounding Sunday, all of this is playing through. There's no more fucking around. There's literally no more fucking around. Look at all the negative bullshit in this world. Why is it there? Because it's all coming out. It's all coming out. because all of that has to be released in order to move on to something new. You can't just sweep shit under the rug and expect it to disappear. That's what this Scorpio energy and all of this is teaching us. And also learning to see the value in fucking change. Okay? This is very strong. I don't know why I'm feeling this so intensely, probably because this eclipse is going to be intense. Probably because this energy is intense. And Scorpio's not going to fucking butter it up for you either. Seeing the value in change. Seeing that this stuff needs to happen. Sorry, but this is like... Of course, we're also going to have Mercury in semi-sextile to Venus in Scorpio. Venus ruling over all of this energy. More of this transformational stuff. Pluto ruling Scorpio in Capricorn. Saturn ruling Capricorn in Pisces. Looks like it's quincunx to this Mercury too. So there's a frustration here. Probably the frustration regarding whoever is on the dark side of the malefic energy that doesn't want this shit to change. But it has to. I don't know why that is coming through so strongly, but that's the message that is really coming up. But it has to. It has to. Okay, remember when I said in previous videos about this Pluto retrograde back into Capricorn, we can't fuck this up. That happens in the sense is we can't fuck this up. We need to do this. But it's also, if we're getting help, we can't fuck this up. As in, we won't be able to fuck this up. So I think that is, this just feels, it's like the intensity that is coming through me is almost like feeling the intensity of what's going on here. With all of this Libra stuff, with Venus in Scorpio, that intensity of Scorpio on this, I feel like that is really strongly something that is coming through here. Of course, if we go to this new moon, this stuff is actually building in sesqui-square to Uranus as well. So this is still surrounding an aspect of change. I mentioned there was I don't know if it was it could have been a sesqui-square, it could have been something. I forget the exact transit when I was mentioning the full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces a couple weeks ago. And there was aspects to Uranus as well. And I said, seeing the value in change, all of this is still highlighted here. This is something that can't get swept under the rug. This is something that's being forced, something that's being pushed. This retrograde energy, it's like you need to change. It's like the cattle prod is coming out. It's like the voltage wasn't strong enough to move the cow. Guess what? It's getting cranked the fuck up to like 1 million to get that ass moving. And again, that intensity is coming through again. It's like I can't stress this enough. Change, change, change. Seeing things for what it is. This is also awakening energy. Uranian energy is awakening energy. That could be well with this quincunx or this sesqui-square to Mercury here. And there is this quincunx to Saturn. This restriction, this dissolution of this malefic energy, of this spiritual stuff trying to come through. This more compassion trying to come through. Love trying to come through justice. Integrating the dissolution of this to find more compassion to come through in terms of justice. I'm just the messenger here. What? I'm laughing because I never know what the hell is going to happen when I get into this, because when I do these, I don't watch anybody else's stuff regarding any of these astrology or anything else. And when I go into this basically blind. Whatever comes through during this, you're seeing me looking at this for the first time. And whatever comes through, comes through. This is what's happening. So, okay. Anyways, so that's new moon solar eclipse on Wednesday. But yeah, and of course, yeah. I think I've really just kind of said enough. This aspect of just balance, justice, balance. Balance is the kind of the word that's coming through here. Balance. It's like this change is really helping to balance. It's like we need change. It's like we just need it. We really need it. And we need to find, because there's this old stuff with this retrograde energy that's just, it's not fucking working anymore. And stuff's coming out, stuff's coming to the surface to really be transformed, transmuted, so that we can change and find some fucking balance in some fucking way. Okay? Anyway, I think I'm just going to leave it at that, guys. I'm going to move on to the 3rd here, Thursday. On Thursday here, we're going to have the Sun conjunct Black Moon Lilith. It looks like it happens a bit overnight, so I had this as this was set at the eclipse time. So this is coming off as you see it on this chart here, but kind of like early morning is when it's happening. So, and of course, this eclipse is conjunct Black Moon Lilith. So again, it's this rebel feminine energy. There's a strong feminine energy that is really truly helping with us at this moment in time. Okay, and it's this not giving a fuck anymore. It's like, I don't give a shit about you or anybody else, because what about me? Where's my fucking justice? Right? That's kind of what's kind of coming through here with this like Black Moon Lilith type energy. Where's my fucking justice? I've been put upon. I've been a fucking doormat hanging out here in Libra with other people just treating me. I've been compromised, whatever. Where's my fucking justice? Like, right? So, but with Sun conjunct Black Moon Lilith here, so there will be, you know, the Kazemi moment with the Sun, that brings up that aspect to be balanced out, right? Where we have been outcast needs to be illuminated, to really be brought to the surface, to be looked at in some way here regarding this, and regarding our individual self as well, finding balance here in some way. And remember I said this is square Mars in Cancer. Right, so this could likely be emotional, where we want to learn to feel comfortable again. Of course, Mars creating, you know, square. There's this square to Chiron, building in square to Chiron as well. So, yeah, there's something coming through here with that. Of course, we're going to have Venus. Let me just pull it up here. Venus in, what am I looking at? In biquintile to the North Node. I'm trying to look at two different things at once here. So this Venus here in Scorpio, biquintile to the North Node, peaks on this day. So this is creative, feminine energy work, likely behind the scenes, something that could be almost feel faded coming through in some sense. Like I said, I feel like this is something that needs to be transformed and let go of, as Venus is ruling this Libra energy, in order to move forward in a new direction. But it's something that is almost like unseen, behind the scenes, and possibly even coming through now at this time, coming through at this moment to work through this stuff. We also have this sesqui-square here to Neptune. Neptune in Pisces, I feel like this is like illusion, or feeling delusional, almost like transforming and waking up. Pisces is there's a very like feminine energy here as well. So it's almost like the sesqui-square. Like I said, it's this feminine energy really coming through to force us to face what we need to face. Right? It's forcing us to face what we need to face. We can't sweep it under the rug anymore, of course, with Neptune retrograde in Pisces, dealing with Pisces can be secrets. It's media. It's, you know, making things look real that aren't real. It's like how the media likes to twist things. You can edit videos and stuff to make it seem like to make the mood and the emotion seem whatever the fuck you want. Positive, negative, whatever. It gets spun in a lot of different ways. But that's also can be used in a positively creative way to create a story. Right? But it can be used in a negative way to create an illusion of a reality that doesn't actually exist, even if you're looking at real live footage. It can be edited and manipulated and color-coded, and certain words and things being said to make it seem like something different than what it actually is. Right? So with this Venus here, with this justice type thing, with the sesqui-square to Neptune, there's kind of like this, maybe we haven't really seen through the fog entirely, Pisces, Neptune, the fog. Maybe we really haven't been seeing things clearly. This is almost forcing to see things clearly with these Venus-related themes, especially this Libra stuff. Like I said, Venus rules this area, and that's really what's kind of coming through here in this sense. It's almost like seeing through the veil is kind of what kind of just came through there, seeing through the veil of what's been hidden, because Scorpio has the ability to actually reveal that. Scorpio can be very secretive because it understands that aspect of it, because it can dive deep and see it, but it also knows its ability to actually reveal it, because you need to face that stuff in order to truly be able to transform. Right, so we're dealing with secretive stuff with both of these signs here. With the sesqui-square, it's almost, bringing it to the surface. Like something is coming through here that's been hidden or unseen, or something in some way. This could revolve around people, relationships, codependency. That justice is another word that is coming through here, which of course relates to balance. Yeah, that is just kind of coming through here regarding this. That can't be swept under the rug anymore. Okay, that's Thursday. Let's go to Friday. Will Friday be happy? Let's find out. Friday doesn't look like it. Friday, we're going to have Mercury in quincunx to Saturn. So again, this Mercury in Libra in quincunx to Saturn. So I've already spoken about this a bit. Like I said, these aspects of like justice and this dissolution of this malefic energy that needs to be integrated in some way. This is the peak of this quincunx. We could be still feeling frustrated from the energy earlier on in this week as this quincunx was building, and now it's like, face it now. We got to integrate and face the stuff, dissolve these old things, and from what's come into awareness regarding balance and certain things. So it could be a frustrating aspect that maybe probably surrounding aspects of communication, but that is bringing up these aspects of balance and justice coming through that needs to be integrated in dissolution of these old restrictions and aspects of control, etc. Okay, this is also on this day we have the sun now in that exact sesqui square to Uranus. So again, I talked about this surrounding that eclipse, this value in change, seeing the value in change and bringing balance, harmony, justice, etc., and like forcing this through. Like, we can't fuck this up. It seriously needs to be brought through. We're also going to have Venus in trine to Saturn retrograde. It's not a happy Friday, guys. Not a happy Friday. So anyway, Venus in trine to Saturn retrograde. So again, with this transformational stuff regarding Venus, possibly stuff coming out regarding restrictions, control. Again, this doesn't necessarily have to be globally, although this would likely be reflected in a socio-economic, political sense, but also on an individual level in our lives as well as it filters down. Like I said, if you want to know how this is affecting you, you can just take what I'm saying here and even just like apply it to your own chart, where it falls in your own chart, houses, etc., the aspects therein, although there's going to be more to it specifically for you than what I'm saying here on this type of mundane level. So again, if you want a reading with me, link in description or link in bio if you're on TikTok. So with this trine here, again, anything with Saturn can be tough because either it's dissolving aspects of control, it's forcing you to face goals and restrictions and like all of these things. And of course with Venus and Scorpio, it's forcing you to face the depth and transformational things, especially with all this stuff that's happening in Libra. As well, Venus also rules Taurus and Uranus is here. It's basically forcing you to see change and to really dissolve this kind of stuff, right? Venus is seen as a benefic, although she's now in Scorpio, so yeah. Okay, there's a trine here building to Mars. So there's like a lot of this could be emotional. This could be, again, we're wanting to move in a new direction. We're wanting to dissolve this space. This trine, it's a positive energy, although with these planets and signs that we're dealing with here, it's likely not going to feel positive as we're going through it, but it is something that needs to be faced in order to be transformed, let go of, dissolved, in order to move into a new space. All right, that's Friday. Let's have a look at Saturday now, the 5th. So to end off this week. Okay, so it looks like we have two biquintiles. So we're going to have Venus here in biquintile to Jupiter peaking. So there could be behind the scenes stuff regarding, looks like an expansion possibly of communication, of awareness, maybe something faded coming through, especially with this Venus and Scorpio surrounding these aspects of justice, right? So again, we're dealing a lot more with this feminine energy, feminine transformative energy, but this could likely be behind the scenes stuff, or maybe something behind the scenes now beginning to come out. This is almost putting in like the blood, sweat, and tears in a creative way in terms of expanding on a lot of this stuff, communication surrounding maybe what needs to be exposed or transformed, or something regarding these Venus related themes, change, justice, balance, all of that kind of stuff coming through here. Of course, these planets are both benefics, and we're dealing with an aspect that is very feminine as well. So this is very feminine, very flowy, very creative, and very beneficial, despite all of the crazy shit that it might have happened during this eclipse, or what's coming up through whatever for you throughout this energy. Ultimately, I feel like with this happening at the end of the week, it's like ultimately everything that whatever has gone through and whatever with the Scorpio energy is ultimately for our best and highest good. It's almost like fated. It's almost like it's very feminine, creative, flowy coming through. Again, it's bringing that feminine back to bring like that balance. So there's a strong femininity to this. Of course, Jupiter is expanding this. With any aspect at all, Jupiter expands what it touches. So Jupiter is expanding this Venus and Scorpio energy, right? With Jupiter and Gemini, likely surrounding aspects of communication, maybe what's been going on behind the scenes, etc. Basically what I've already mentioned. All right, and we're also going to have Saturn here as well in biquintile to Juno in Libra. So with this Saturn retrograde in Pisces, an immutable sign, like I said, this dissolution of this malefic energy, re-looking at aspects of control, especially surrounding committed partnerships, contracts. Juno can be business contracts as well, any kind of committed type of partnership. Of course, in Libra, this is like striking a balance, justice, those kinds of things. It's almost like there's creative work happening behind the scenes, or there's some work being put through in order to maybe even dissolve certain types of commitments, or commitments that are becoming malleable and changing in some way, maybe based more on compassion as well. It's something that's really coming through this week with this Saturn in Pisces. Something surrounding compassion, which helps to dissolve this malefic energy that is coming through. Of course, this is, again, this feminine, creative type of flow that is coming with this as well. So there's maybe some type of balancing that's coming through regarding these partnerships, contracts, business contracts, those kinds of things that are coming through here, and a change to maybe the structure of it, and maybe a dissolution of maybe certain restrictions and aspects of control that have been involved there in some way. All right, so that's really all I've got for this week. If you've made it this far, if you're a real one, please post a purple heart in the comments below. That way, I know you're a real one, right? Okay, but anyways, thank you to all who are watching, however much of this that you've watched, of course. I really appreciate you. Again, all my links and everything are in the description below, in my bio on TikTok. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that follow button on TikTok. I really appreciate, I was going to say I really fucking appreciate it. I don't know how this Black Moon Lilith and Scorpio stuff just coming out of me this week. But I really fucking appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much. Take care. Have a great week, everyone. Bye for now. Bye.